The police are often seen and perceived as the peacekeepers of society, and as such are put in positions of trust. They are subsequently given powers that regular citizens simply do not have. They are looked upon by others as people to settle disputes, violence, and danger. However, despite their power and responsibility and trust, the fact remains that the police are just like regular citizens, human. And because of this, despite all the checks that police may carry out, there is still the possibility that a disturbed individual may go through undetected. These individuals are given extreme power over most people in society and can go undetected for years. The fact is, however, that most people who commit horrific acts against others eventually get found out in the end, but not before causing devastating damage to people's lives. It's also very worrying that when these individuals get found out because of something they've done, it's very often not the only thing they've done, and it could very well be that the full extent of the acts these individuals have committed is never fully recovered. The problem is, how do you spot and identify these individuals? These people often deceive others into thinking they are normal. To most, they appear no different to normal people by the way they talk, dress, and their occupation. Some in positions of trust. In this video, I'm going to look at Wayne Couzens and how he went from police constable and firearms officer to a convicted murderer and rapist who will spend the rest of his life in prison. The victim in this case is a woman named Sarah Everard. She was born in Surrey in June 1987. She grew up in York and attended Fulford School. She studied human geography at St Cuthbert's Society, Durham University from 2005 to 2008. She was one of 3 children and described as an exceptional friend who would drop everything for her pals. She was 33 years old at the time of her death. On the evening of Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021, Sarah Everard was kidnapped while walking home from a friend's house in South London in the evening. She was kidnapped by Metropolitan Police Officer Wayne Couzens, who informed her he was arresting her for breaching COVID-19 regulations. He then raped her and killed her before burning her body and putting it in a pond. The events approximately went as follows. At 9 p.m, Everard left a friend's house near Clapham Junction, South London. At 9:34, Couzens handcuffed Everard, claiming that he was arresting her for breaching COVID guidelines. Couzens and Everard were captured twice by CCTV. Couzens proceeded to drive Everard to Kent. The route he took was tracked using CCTV and ANPR. By 11:43, Couzens and Everard were in Dover and had transferred from the Vauxhall hire vehicle to Couzens' personal SEAT car. Between 11:53 and 12:57 on the 4th of March, Couzens' mobile phone was connected to cell sites in the area of Sibbertswold, and it is believed that this is when he raped Everard. At 2:54, Couzens purchased drinks from a Dover petrol station, and it is believed that he strangled Everard using his police duty belt at some point before then. Couzens drove back to Dover, switched back to his rental Vauxhall and returned it back. He then got into his personal car and drove to Kent. He disposed of Everard's mobile phone in one of the town's watercourses at 9:21 a.m. Later that day, Everard's boyfriend contacted the police because Everard did not meet him. Couzens would then go on to tell senior colleagues in the police that he was suffering from stress and he no longer wanted to carry a gun. On the 5th of March, he bought and filled a petrol container at a service station in Whitfield. After that, he drove to Hodes Road, where his car was caught on CCTV at 12:37, and burned Everard's body inside a refrigerator. He bought 2 large builder bags from B&Q. One of the bags he used to dispose of Everard's remains. On the 8th of March, he reported himself ill from work, handing in his equipment, including his police belt and handcuffs. At 4:20 on the 10th of March, police searching Hode's Wood found human remains in a large builder's bag, approximately 100 metres from a plot of land that Couzens owned. On the 12th of March, Everard's body was identified through dental records. Everard's funeral took place on the 22nd of May. The result of a post-mortem held at William Harvey Hospital in Ashford were released on the 1st of June. The investigation concluded that she had died from compression of the neck. On the 9th of March, Couzens was arrested at his home in Deal on suspicion of kidnap. A woman was also arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender, but was released without charge. The police conducted an urgent interview with Couzens in his house.
So we're here to talk to you about Sarah. I'm going to show you a picture. Do you know Sarah?
I don't know.
Okay. Sarah went missing. I'll show you some pictures of her on the day.
Okay.
Sarah went missing on Wednesday, and her parents obviously and her family are really worried about her now.
The first thing you'll notice about the detective is he's speaking in an extremely soft tone while speaking to Couzens. This is because his house has just been raided by armed police, and therefore Couzens' adrenaline is probably extremely high. Therefore, a soft tone will help to bring that adrenaline down, and as a result, he will be in a better mental state to conduct a police interview. Secondly, the detective also wants to establish a compatible tone and rapport with the suspect. If he storms in there with armed police, sits him down in handcuffs and starts screaming at him, the interview will never get off the ground, and the suspect may shut down altogether and refuse to answer questions. The detective is skillful in making the matter of discussing kidnap seem like a casual chat to entice the suspect to be more forthcoming with information. Lastly, by going from what was likely a very forceful manner when armed police entered his home to a soft tone that the detective is using can cause mental disorientation, because this is in essence going from one extreme to the next, affecting the suspect's ability to think rationally.
The inquiry that's been conducted so far has led us to come and speak to you about it and to see what you know about Sarah, okay? So, would you like to, do you know where Sarah is?
The detective says what we know about Sarah instead of what you know about Sarah to appear less confrontational, almost like it's a problem they're all trying to solve together. This is for the purpose of seeming like he's on the suspect's side, increasing the chances of information extraction.
No.
Right, okay. Do you know anything about what happened to her?
I know that she went missing up in London somewhere, about a week ago or so, just from what I got on the news.
Okay. Have you ever personally met her?
No, not personally, man.
Have you had any interactions with her at all?
No, why would I have personal interactions with her?
Well, it's very difficult because I can't go into a lot of the evidence because obviously that would require, that's not part of what an urgent interview is, okay? This interview is just about trying to find her.
The detective essentially asks the suspect in a non-confrontational way if he is responsible for what happened to Sarah. Couzens denies knowing her or seeing her. However, he being a police officer knows that the police must have something for him to be arrested, to which he challenges the detective. The detective is deliberately vague and deflects the question away, but uses the word evidence to let Couzens know they have information they are unwilling to disclose. This is done so that it heightens the fear in the suspect, making them uncertain just how much or little the police have, potentially making him forfeit information out of fear. And 2, the police are going to want to withdraw as much information as possible for as long as possible to prevent Couzens and a defence team being able to mount a defence in the event that the case goes to trial. In essence, the police want him to reveal as much as possible while simultaneously giving away as little as possible.
Sure. She's been missing for a while now.
I'm sat in handcuffs and with what I know her, So you must have something to say that I know her.
Well, as I said, you've been arrested on suspicion of kidnap, and we believe that you've been involved in her disappearance and taking her away from her family.
Okay.
So we are trying to find her. Obviously, everybody is very worried about her. She's got, parents. She's got, she's got siblings. She's got a boyfriend. There's a lot of people that care about her.
Sure.
You've seen her on the news. The number of people that are reaching out about her.
Sure.
They're looking for her every day, and she's missing. And our primary job here is to find her and to try and find her safe and well.
Okay.
The detective here, by emphasising how her loved ones are looking for her and care about her, is him trying to connect with Couzens' sense of morality.
Now, we believe that you know something about where she is, and that's why we're here, to look for her and to try and find her. And that's why we're talking to you now, is to try and get you to have a good think about it and tell us anything you can about where we might be able to find her.
Okay. Well, I am in financial, and I've been lent on by I don't know who they are. They're a group, a gang, whatever, and they told me, right, I need to go and pick up girls and give them to them. So I said, not happening. And it then came through that they're going to harm my family, take them away, and they'll use them instead. At that point I had no option to try and find somebody. So I don't, there's a couple of names. I was told a place to take her. That's it. That is all I know.
Couzens then proceeds to tell the detectives the unlikely story that he is being threatened by people, and they're threatening to harm his family because he's in financial difficulty. This is unlikely because most criminals do their best to have as little to do with police as possible because of the nature of their operations. This is a breakthrough, however, though, for the detectives because he initially denied any involvement in Sarah's disappearance. The detective now has one foot in the door because he got him to change his story, which shows he can be influenced. The detective is unlikely to believe this story, but won't challenge it at this stage, because the more Couzens lies, the more it can be used against him, either as leverage later in interview to get a confession, or in court to discredit him in front of a jury.
And to this group of people.
Tell me about them. I need to find them. Tell me everything you know.
Okay.
That you'll help me.
There was a white Sprinter van. They it was between sort of Lenham, Maidstone area that I dropped her off. I still don't know. I don't know. They just I just parked my car up, and then the van come up behind me, flashed me, and they all jumped out, and then they took this girl. They said you've done good, and I don't know whether my family's going to be alright still. But they threatened to take my family away from me. So at that point, I'm doing what I can to protect my family. That's it. So all I know is that it was a roundabout. We could drive there now. I could show you. But roughly, I don't know Lenham, Maidstone area at all.
If we did it on Google, if we did it on Google Maps, like Google Earth, if we drove it, would you be able to do it?
I drove from Ashford to Maidstone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's a roundabout that breaks up, I guess. So this is the first big roundabout you come to. And you would carry straight over to Maidstone, but instead I went round that roundabout and back up another road. And at that point, I was flashed and pulled over. You guys got out, opened my door, opened that door, pushed me out against the front of the car, took the girl, drove off. That's it. They said, we'll be in touch. So I'm here, I'm off work with stress because I'm here to protect my family. I want to be here 24/7 for my family. They come from my family. I've got nothing myself. I've got no choice.
I'll go back through the route with you in a minute, alright? But how do they contact you? How did you contact them?
I tried to take over on one of their call girls and rip her off. So she's told them, and they've got me. So
How do they, no, but what is, how do they contact you? How is it they've been in contact with you to make these threats?
they just tell me, be here. So Hotel Burston down in Folkestone, got to be here. Okay, so I turned up. But I've got no mobile number, and they have got my mobile number. They're obviously outside watching, following. I just, honestly...
How are they telling you to be there? Be there? How is it they're giving those directions?
Yeah, they'll come outside. So they'll be outside here.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, right, you're going to be in Folkestone at this time, or you're going to be in Ashford at this time. And that's it. There's no links, no telephone numbers. I'm completely on my own, but at the same time being threatened. It had Romanian plates on the van, white, like Mercedes Sprinter type van.
It's surprising that a police officer would give such an unbelievable story when being questioned, given he may at least have some idea about how detectives operate, as opposed to him choosing to stay silent and get a lawyer. However, in the moment, he probably wasn't thinking calmly and collectively. While not obtaining a full confession in this interview, the detective was able to get him to go from saying he knew nothing to saying he did indeed kidnap her. This can be used to discredit him in court should the case go to trial, and as social leverage to get him to confess to all the charges. Couzens was rearrested on suspicion of murder on the 10th of March, the day Everard's remains were discovered. Couzens was then charged with Everard's kidnapping and murder on the 12th of March. He pleaded guilty to kidnap and rape on the 8th of March and admitted responsibility for Everard's death. On the 9th of July, Couzens pleaded guilty to murder, and on the 30th of September, Couzens was sentenced to life imprisonment with a tariff of a whole life order. Couzens has since challenged his sentence at the Court of Appeal, but his sentence was upheld.